Hello everyone, Isaac Sugunro here, back with another video. Now, if you remember, in our last video, we created this conference registration request form. We customized our list using PowerApps. And so what we did, we have these fields here: first name, last name, email, phone, manager approval, director approval. And if you remember, we created some functionality that we added to the form. So let me show you. So let's come in here and say we're going to a SharePoint conference. So SharePoint conference. Now I forget some of the names of the conference. It's been a while. So let's just So let me just fill out the form really quick. I think last time when we created this form, we didn't submit the test. So here is this manager approval. So when the manager clicks it, comes in and clicks it, and you approve, nothing happens. But when you reject, you see this box appears. Same thing for the director. Reject, the box appears. If you approve, it disappears. So the object of this whole form is when it gets saved, it sends an email notification to the manager, and the manager comes into this form and approve or reject. And if the manager approves, a notification gets sent to the director and they can approve or reject. Now, what we don't want to happen is when the user, let's say I'm the user coming in to fill out this form, I'm the requester. I don't want to see the manager's section or the director's section, or I can just make it disabled so they won't be able to do anything, because they will need to know the comments sooner or later. So let's go ahead and just let me remove this. Let's remove that as well. Okay, and let's save this form just to make sure it saves. So save. Oh, there you go. So there it is. All right. So now that we've done it, let's go back into our form and let's add that other functionality where when we log in, we don't see it. We only want the manager or the director to see this. So let me come over here and let me customize this form. Now, while that's coming up, let's look at another list I created. So here's our list, our conference request list. And now I have this form access level list. And this list, what we're going to do from within our PowerApps, we are going to check this list and see if the current user of the app, the person who is looking at the app at that moment, if their name exists in here. And if their name exists in here, what level of access are they? Are they a director or a manager? And dependent on those two, we can then fill out our form. We can then show and hide certain fields. So let me show you. So just in case you want to mimic this, let me go to my list settings. And it's a very simple form. We have this approval level. It's a choice field. It has manager and director in it. See? No default values. And then we have this field called name, and it is a person or group field. So just a name presence. So that's what we have. So let's see, our PowerApps form should be open now. Oh, let me say override. I must have had it open somewhere else. I think I had it open here, but let's override that. Okay, so leave page. All right. So now, if you remember 2 videos ago, we talked about some things about creating a variable. We talked about lookup. We talked about is blank. In this video, we are going to put some of that to practice. I think I even sent a blog. I created a blog on how to do those things as well. So here's our form. And what I'm going to do is I am going to make, let me go back in here. And let me just make these appear. And the reason I want them to appear is because I am going to add formulas to them. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to our app. Now this app has certain properties. If you remember in one of our other videos, we mentioned that everything has properties. So this app has different properties, and we can decide what happens on these properties. And one of the properties we're going to be looking at is the onStart property. And on the onStart property, it basically runs as soon as the user opens up this app. This app runs. So once it runs, you can make it do whatever different tasks that you want it to do. So what we're going to be doing in our app is we're going to be setting a variable. If you wanted to, you can also navigate to another screen. You can use it to collect information so you can cache the data. So let's go ahead and go to this property. So we are on the onStart property, right? So I'm just gonna expand this formula field here so that we can add our formula. And the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna come here and we want to be able to grab the current user. Now, so who is the current user who is logged into this application right now? So let's grab that current user and store it inside of a variable. And if you remember in one of my other videos, I talked about how a variable is sort of like a placeholder. It's like a bucket. You put stuff in a bucket and you can recall it later on. So we're going to call this placeholder, or this variable, we're going to call it current user. And we have the way to capture the current user is to use this function here, current user. Now this captures the details about the current user, and the details that this current user has. If you put a dot here, you see you can get the email, the full name, the image. Now once I add that current user in here, it'll have all the data you just saw. So let me come here. If I do this, like current user, and if I do dot, let me use that in a different context. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm gonna set another variable, and in this variable, I want to be able to check to see if the person logged in is the manager, and I want to be able to capture true or false in this variable. So set is manager. So that's the name of my variable, is manager. And then I'm going to do a few things. So let me do a lookup first. And if you remember from one of the other videos I did, we talked about a lookup. And if you remember, the lookup, it searches your data source, and when it finds a match based on a formula, it returns a Boolean. So in this instance, what we're going to do is we're going to go through that access level list I showed you all. We're going to go through this list here. Let me bring that up really quick. We're going to go through this form access list, and we're going to see if the current user's name exists in this list. So that's the formula, and if it's going to return true or false. So let me go back to PowerApps. So, and the way we do that is we're going to do lookup, and then we're going to look up in the form. So this is the form level access level. And then we're going to say name dot email. So the reason why IntelliSense is not working is it's probably because, let me go back here and see. Okay, so I don't have this form access level added to my PowerApps. So let me add that really quick. So we're going to come down to connectors. We're going to go to SharePoint. And then let's connect. Let's connect to, where is it? We're going to connect to, this is the list right here. And then here is, the site. And then here's our form access level list. So connect. So we didn't connect to that. So now we're connected to that. So now when I do this, because I was wondering why it wasn't picking it up. So now when I do this, form access level, okay, that's weird. It's still not picking it up. Okay, but let's see. Name. Oh, let me come back here. Sometimes you have to restart the app. So let me do this. Run a restart. Maybe that's what it is. So name. Okay, okay, so the problem was I didn't put a semicolon here. It's very picky. You must follow it to the T. So let me come back here. So I'm going to create a variable called isManager, and then I want to do a lookup into my form. There we have it. So form access. It doesn't tell us, since that wasn't happening before because I didn't have this semicolon up here. And then where name.email is equal to current user dot email, and where approval, so there you go, approval level is equal to, oops, I forgot something, approval level dot value, so we want the value of that column, is equal to manager. Make sure you close all the parentheses. Did I have an extra one? Yeah, I did have an extra one. Okay. Okay. So let me go over this, what I've done so far. I created a variable. I initialized that variable to user. And then down here, I created another variable called isManager, and I'm going to initialize this data here to this isManager. I have one more thing to add. So this does a lookup into my form access level, which is this list, this here. So basically it's saying look into this access list where name.email, and the name.email, this name is from this column, and since this is a personal group, it has certain properties to it as well. So like email, display name, I think phone number. So what we want from those groups I just mentioned is we want the email property. So name.email, so give me the email. So look up into this form access level where name.email from the list is equal to the current user email. So the current user that's logged in email, and where the approval label.value is equal to manager. So once it finds this, it returns. Now, if you remember what a lookup does, what do you think the problem is here? The problem is that what we really need this value to hold is a Boolean, because that's how we're going to test our different, that's how we're going to hide our different elements based on who's logged in. Because we want to put this in the visible property of these different elements. And the visible property takes a Boolean, true or false. And this lookup does not return a true or false. So what we need to do is we need to use the isBlank. So if you remember, the is blank is how we test to see if something is blank or not, if you remember that from one of our videos. So we're gonna come over here, and the is blank returns a Boolean, returns true or false. So we're gonna say is blank, and then we gotta close that too. So when the lookup happens, it's gonna return something or not. And this is blank test for us to see if something was returned, then it's true. I mean, it's false, you know. And if something was not returned, then it's true. Hope that makes sense. So as you can see right here, this is true because it is finding me it is, wait a second, let me, so if it finds me, you know, it is saying it's true, but we're gonna apply this. So now that it's returned a Boolean, we can now use it for our elements. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to our card, and let's just remember, let me go back here. So is manager. So we're gonna come here and we're gonna come to this card. So just click in the card, see card, and then we're gonna go to visible. And we're gonna say is manager. And then we're going to come to this card as well. Visible. And we already have a formula in there from last time, but we can do this. We can say is okay. That's what I get for doing this on the fly. So we don't have to worry about hiding the manager because the manager is going to be hidden already. The manager is already going to show once when the manager comes in and rejects, it'll show. I just had it showing here only because I needed to add a formula. So let me go ahead and hide that by default. And I'm just going to do this. Oh, wait a second. It's going to be hidden anyway. So let me come back here. I need to make my form, I need to make my manager approval show again. Manager approval, there it is. So let me take this out. Manager approval. Okay. Now come in here. Okay, so by default, they're already not going to be showing. So let me come back here and let me do this. This manager. And then we just need to do the same thing for the director. So we're going to come here and we're just going to copy this. Say copy. We're going to come down here, paste. And here we're just going to put in director. Okay, so let me go to my list. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so come back here. Director. Okay, So we're going to change this to director is director. So is the person logged in a director? So let me go over this again because it can be a little bit confusing. So we're going to look up into our form access level list, and we're looking to see if there is a match with our current user, and we're comparing the email. So if this email is equal to if the email from our list is equal to the current user's email, and if the approval level value is equal to director. So if that is true, it's going to return this whole item. But we don't really want the whole item. We just want a Boolean, true or false. And that's where this is blank comes in. So this is blank comes in here and says, okay, is whatever was returned here, is it true? Is it blank? And if we look at our situation, director doesn't exist. So what does that mean? Is this blank? And the answer is yes, it's true. This is blank, meaning there was nothing was returned. Nothing was returned when it did the comparison. For the manager, it goes in, looks into this access level list, form access level list. It compares the name.email equal to the current user, and is the value equal to manager. So did it find a match? So there is going to be something here. So is it blank? And the answer is no, it's not blank. So this is really going to be false. So oops. So let me just add a comment. And the way you add a comment is you do // and I'm going to say this will be false. And this will be true. This is how you add this is how you add a comment, and it gets ignored when this runs. So this is true. So is it blank? Yes, it's blank. True. Is this blank? No, it's not blank. So false. So what we're gonna do now is that's how we show and hide the visible. So we're gonna come here to this card, visible, and we're gonna say is director. It even shows you false. Okay. So let's do this. So nothing's showing. Okay, so the user shouldn't see anything here, only if I am in the list. So what we need to do, we need to make one slight change, because in this list, okay, so the slight change we need to make, because really when we say is blank, what we really need to check for is, I wish they had a function called is not blank. But unfortunately, there is no function called is not blank, because really if you think about it, the visible property, when it is equal to true, it makes whatever element you are working with, it makes it visible. And if it's false, it's not visible. So if you look at this, even we do have a manager in that list. I do exist. But this is returning false is because this is asking the question, is it blank? And so the answer to that is false. So it's just answering a question that it's what is returned is not blank. So what we need to do is we need to flip it. And the way we flip it is we add a exclamation mark there. So we're going to come here. Let's do this. And let's come here and do the same thing here. So is this blank? it was returning true, but really it's false because we don't want it'll be when we put this in the visible property of the element, I don't exist, so we want it to be false. So we're gonna flip it to false. So that's why I'm saying that I wish we had a is not blank function. So let's do this. Run on start. And this is what we want. So as you can see, because I exist in this list, is going to show this element. You gotta think about that for it. It can be confusing, but just think about it. So let's go and test this out. So let's go back to SharePoint. I'm gonna save. And I'm gonna remove myself from the list so you can also see how it works. Okay, so let's go to our list. And let me open this up. And if you remember, I am in this list. So we just have to refresh. This is cached. So let's refresh. Let's refresh. Let's go to new. There you go. So because I'm a manager, I'm showing. Let me go and remove myself from manager. So let me delete this. Delete. So let me come here. Let me refresh again. And let me go do this. And as you can see, nothing. I'm not showing. Now let me go add myself as a director and see what happens. So new. I want to come in here. I want to be a director. Oops. There you go. Save. And let's go back to that list. Let's go back to that list. Refresh. New. And here's the director. And if I reject, there we have it. So I hope that made sense. I know that is blank was a little bit confusing, but just study it. I'll add the documentation to the bottom and also the blog that I have on it. So stay tuned for the next video. I think we are done with the form itself. So now in our next video, we're gonna go into Power Automate and start sending out notifications. All right, thanks. Hope that made sense. Bye.